He was the coordinator. He was the person who did whatever he could to try and murder as many Jews as possible, to the extent that they were investing time and effort and resources in murdering Jews at a time when Germany was in retreat, and those resources could have been used in a far better way to fight against the Allies.
Towards the end of the war, he even countermanded Hitler's orders. When the German generals at the Eastern Front were clamoring for reinforcement and for every train with ammunition, he, by trickery, managed to get priority for his death trains, although he knew he was thereby actually sabotaging Germany's war effort. And he told some of his friends, he said, "I know the war is lost, but I'm still going to win my war." And then he went to Auschwitz to get the death rate increased from 10,000 a day to 12,000 a day.
Eichmann freely admitted to most of the accusations concerning his participation in a coordinated conspiracy that sent millions of Jews to their deaths. His defense was that he was powerless to resist orders from his military superiors, that he was just a small cog in a very big machine. His defense also argued that the trial itself was unjust because the alleged offenses had been committed outside the State of Israel, that didn't even exist when the Holocaust was perpetrated on the Jewish people. So this was a state trying a man for offenses alleged to have taken place against citizens of other countries.
And there's a strong case to be made for crimes ideally being prosecuted on the territory where the crime took place. Germany didn't press a case. He should have been sent to Germany, where he could have been tried, and Germany basically let him be tried in Israel. And this raises the whole question of universal jurisdiction, which is what Israel was claiming to be operating under. The Eichmann trial is really the great case of universal jurisdiction, because Israel could not claim, as has been said, that the state didn't even exist when the crimes were taking place. But they said it was a crime against all of humanity, and therefore they had a right to prosecute him, and I think that that's correct.
We had hundreds of documents with Eichmann's signature. I mean, he was head of the department. This was not a small cog in a machine. I mean, the way in which he behaved, in which he, as I said, countermanded even Hitler's orders when he thought that might mean the saving of a few Jews, that's not the way in which some kind of official behaves.
After a 16-week trial, Eichmann was found guilty of crimes against the Jewish people and crimes against humanity. It was the first trial ever to be televised, and it showed to the world, through the testimony of scores of survivors whose lives were shattered, the real horror of the Holocaust.
A young Israeli can understand that you can be killed fighting, that you can be hurt, that you can even lose a battle. But he cannot understand how hundreds of thousands or millions of people can be slaughtered without really hitting back or defending themselves. One of the also purposes of this trial was to show our young people that there was no reason to be ashamed. We showed the almost scientific way in which people were misled until the last moment. And then we showed that when it was really became clear to the Jewish people, like there was in the Warsaw Ghetto, that death was pending, the way in which they fought until the last man, that was something which didn't deserve a feeling of shame, but on the contrary, such courage deserved pride.
Adolf Eichmann, the self-proclaimed Nazi Jewish specialist, was sentenced to death by the people he'd sought to exterminate. The state of Israel was ready to seek retribution for the murder of over 6 million Jews.
And here is what the public in Israel thinks of that sentence. Here we have, what is your name, please? How old are you?
14.
And what do you think of the sentence on Adolf Eichmann?
He killed many Jewish people, so he should die for it.
Well, now, what do you think of the death sentence on Eichmann?
Well, I think it's a very just sentence indeed.
And what would your feelings be if he were to apply to the president to have his sentence commuted?
Well, I believe that the president shouldn't hear of it, and he should be immediately shot. I believe sincerely that the decision was the right one. However, I would like to see the president of Israel commute the death sentence to life imprisonment or something like that in order to give pride to the Jews the world over, ensuring that we know how to show mercy to a man who was really responsible for murdering millions.
Eichmann was executed with no ceremony. He was taken back to his cell and hanged from the roof. His body was cremated and the ashes scattered over the sea, beyond Israel's territorial waters.
He was the only person who was ever sentenced to death in Israel and executed. We still have the death sentence. I mean, we abolished it for ordinary civil crimes like murder and so on, but we still have it for genocide and for these Nazi crimes and for treason in wartime and for terrorist activities. But even for the most heinous terrorist crimes, the death sentence has never been asked for, has never been, certainly not carried out. So the only person was Eichmann, and well, I think very few people doubted that he really deserved that.
The issue is one of justice, it's of morality, it's of what kind of society you want to live in. If we walk away from the effort to bring Nazis to justice, what kind of message does that send? Basically says, if you get away with it for 50 or 60 years, okay, that's it. You're not of any importance, you're not of any relevance to us. Go ahead, live your life, enjoy your grandchildren, prune your roses. The fact of the matter is that every one of those 6 million Jewish victims was someone's son, or grandson, or husband, or wife, or grandchild, and they deserve that justice be done. These people don't deserve any mercy. Any sympathy for them is misplaced sympathy. The fact that they walk with a cane or they reach the age of 80 or 85 or 90 and are suffering from this ailment or that ailment, they don't deserve any sympathy. What sympathy did they have for their victims? Absolutely none. And why did they murder them? Because they were Jews. Is that a reason to kill anybody? I don't think so.